Good morning. Happy new month to you. I have not seen most of you in the month of May. So that is why I'm saying happy new month to you. Today's readings, my dear friends, deal with what I call identity and responsibility. Identity and responsibility. I will explain what I mean. If we go through the three readings, we see this clearly. The apostles in the first reading of today identified themselves as chosen by God to devote time to the ministry of the word. Therefore, they did not want extra distractions or things that would stop them from devoting time to the ministry of the word. Therefore, they chose men to pay attention to other matters arising so that they may devote time to preaching the word. Identity and responsibility. In the second reading of today, St. Peter, the apostle, took the time to explain to his audience their identity, and of course, with a corresponding responsibility that comes with it. In conclusion of the second reading, St. Peter says, "You are a chosen race," identity. "A royal priesthood," identity. "A holy nation," identity. "A people of his own," identity. What is the responsibility? "So that you may announce the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his own wonderful light." Identity and responsibility. Now, in the gospel of today, Jesus also took the time to explain to his apostles, and particularly, he says, "I am," identity. "The way and the truth and the life." Identity and responsibility. What does this say to us today, my dear friends? What these say to me, and I want to share this with you, is that I'm so excited of my identity as a Christian and more so as a Catholic priest. I take joy in who God has made me to be. I take joy in who God has called me to be. I take joy that God has given me this privilege to do what? To announce his goodness wherever I find myself. That's my identity, and that is my responsibility. So today I want to invite all of us to take the time to think about this dignity that God has given us by virtue of our Christian vocation, by what God has given to each one of us through our baptism. And every baptized Christian belongs in a special way to this family of a holy nation, of a royal priesthood, or people set apart to sing the praises of God. Originally, these designations were meant for the people of Israel, as we see in the Old Testament. Especially if you read the book of Exodus chapter 19 on the covenant on Mount Sinai. And at the ratification of that covenant, God said to the people of Israel, "You are a royal priesthood, a holy nation." Exodus chapter 19, verse 6. And we see the same designation given by God to the people of Israel if we read the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 17. You are a special people to me. And when we move to the prophecy of Isaiah in 43, 20 to 21, we see God referring to the same people of Israel as a chosen race. These were the special prerogatives of the people of Israel. But thanks be to God that you and I in 2026, in the new covenant revealed to us by Jesus Christ, we now form part and belong to this holy nation, to these special people, to these consecrated people, that you and I may announce the good news of the Lord wherever we find ourselves. This is my joy. This is my faith. This is my excitement. This is my fulfillment. And this is my satisfaction. That who am I? Lawrence, who are you? Who am I? That God looked at me and chose me to belong in a special way to this family, dedicated specially to announce the good news of the Lord. How and why? Because I was baptized into Christ. I was planted into Christ. I was grafted into Christ. And that makes a whole lot of meaning. And that changes everything. So that as St. Paul would say, he who is in Christ Jesus, all things have passed away and new things have come. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 17. This is my joy. This is my excitement. And this is who we are. Our identity in Christ Jesus. And of course, it's going to come with responsibilities. And what are they? That wherever I find myself, I will proclaim the good news of the person who has called me. I will proclaim and sing his praises wherever I find myself. Providentially, in the Diocese of Tulsa, the Bishop, Most Reverend David Condela, has this vision of what he calls next generation parishes. And providentially, as I said, St. Francis Xavier is one of those parishes chosen as a next generation parish. What does that mean? This parish is being invited to pay attention to some priorities, to some goals, and to some visions. Here, at St. Francis Xavier, we have 3 of those goals, 3 of those visions, or if you like, 3 of those priorities. What are they? Number 1, emphasis on marriage and family. 2, emphasis on evangelization. 3, emphasis on intentional worship. And I'm so particular about these 3. My homily, my reflection this morning ties up beautifully on the 3rd priority, intentional worship. And that is our responsibility based on our identification as children chosen by God, belonging to a holy nation, belonging to the royal priesthood. In the coming days and weeks, we'll be taking the time to guide us on what we do each time we come into the church. I've said it so many times. We don't just come into the church to merely fulfill Sunday obligations. No. We come into the church intentionally to worship God, to adore him, and to sing his praises, as captured by St. Paul in today's second reading. Identity and responsibility. So as we talk about intentional worship, every liturgical action we have in the church, whether it's by singing, whether it is by praying, whether it is by participating in Mass, whether it's by saying the Rosary, whether it's by Eucharistic adoration, everything we do, all of them put together, all of them are meant to draw us closer and closer to God. Intentionally, intentional worship. All of us, having been called out of darkness, are now invited to announce the praises of Him who has called us out of darkness into His own wonderful light. And I'll tell you this, here at St. Francis Xavier in Stillwater, we have a very wonderful means of announcing the goodness of God. For those who paid attention last Saturday, when Dr. Scott Horn was here, I said, and he confirmed, that the time will come in this church when someone will walk into this church, after looking at our stained glass windows, the person would have read the Bible in just 1 hour. That is the story we tell through this project. That is the vision we want to accomplish through this project. And how I wish every parishioner will be part and parcel of this mission, to announce the salvation history as captured in our stained glass windows. My dear brothers and sisters, indeed, you and I are called out of darkness that we may, wherever we find ourselves, announce the praises of Him who called us out of darkness into His own wonderful light. And that's the dignity of our vocation as Christians. Think about that, and God bless you.